Welcome to Color Theory Notes, Volume 3. Today we're going to take what we've learned and put it to practical application. You see that we have a girl and we have our two color wheels. We have our tints and shades, we have our tones at the bottom. Remember that the tints and shades are taking a pure color and adding either black to it or white. Your tones at the bottom are taking that pure color in the middle and adding both black and white to it. Just to which degree you're adding black and white is the middle and the outside. You're adding more black, you're going to move towards the center. If you're adding more white of the two, then we'll add and we'll back up to the outside of the color wheel. Don't forget that this circle here and this circle here and the inside and outside of both our tints, shades, and tones is where we're going to do most of our work. Don't forget that we don't see pure color very much with our eyes, so it's important that we don't overuse them in a composition like this. You'll notice that we have a dedicated color layer on the far right. This is where we're going to be doing all of our coloring. You shouldn't have to go into any other layer in this project. Okay, to get started, what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my eyedropper tool with the I key, and then I'm going to sample a color. Hold it down, and what I'm going to do before I even begin is make a color palette, because I want to see how these colors look together. So let's go with that shade of orange for a skin color. I'm going to go back to my brush and I'm just going to dab it right there. Let's say I really like this blue. I'm going to come over and sample maybe that tint of blue for maybe the shirt or the blouse. Now blue is the opposite or complement of orange, so they should work together well, and they do. Side by side, they look pretty good together. Let's say I want to go for a rectangle color scheme, which means this, and either a purple and green or a pink and kind of a navy blue green. I kind of like the pink and navy blue green, so what I'm going to do is resample these. Let's say I want her dress to maybe be a darker shade of red, maybe there. Put it here. Go down here to this color and maybe lighten it up a little bit. There and there. So I'm using a rectangle color scheme right now that we learned in the last lesson. I've got my skin color, possibly the blouse and the dress and the boot color. I need a hair color now. So I'm going to kind of dip into the yellow over here. Maybe we'll do a blonde color. Maybe that one there. And there's my color palette. It's easy to do this versus going in and coloring either the skirt or the blouse and then deciding later that your color scheme just doesn't work together. So I encourage you to make this painter's palette first. See your colors ahead of time before you do your work. One last thing, to make your experience easier when you're doing the coloring, what I would recommend is hitting your F5 key at the very top of your keyboard to open your brush panel. Come in, and what I like to do when I'm dealing with a composition that has a lot of corners and a lot of steep angles is I'm going to grab a 100% hardness brush. I'm going to turn my spacing all the way to 0 or to 1%. And then I'm going to come in and flatten my brush. Maybe like that. Take that angle. Now, when I come in and sample my color, let's grab that blue. And I come into color with it. You can see the different shapes and sizes of that brush, and I can get really close to the edge of the blouse without actually bleeding over. I'll bled over a little bit there. But you can see how it's a lot easier to come in and do larger areas with it versus using a rounded brush tip which would make the corners a little bit harder to do because you're using a circle versus that oval. It's personal preference, really. If you like the circle better, then more power to you. I find that the flattened brush works a little bit better for me. So what you need to do now is pick your color scheme. It can be clashing, it can be complementary, split complementary, anything that you want to do with it. And you need to complete the coloring assignment. Skin, eyes, hair, everything. It's your painting, so I encourage you to make it your own. This has been Color Notes number 3, and we'll see you next time.